This is Democracy Now!, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We end today's show looking at the candidates' exchange about the climate crisis. Climate change was not on the 6 topics Fox News moderator Chris Wallace released before the debate, but he added the issue after a massive outcry from activists and young voters. This is Wallace questioning President Trump and Joe Biden.
The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management. You've got to have cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very exciting for a lot of people.
That human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of this planet?
I think a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes.
Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes, by the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that at all.
He did say
You made it up.
And here's the deal.
You make up a
We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now, billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you support the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
that means you just lost the radical left.
I support the Biden plan that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right.
That's the first presidential debate last night. For more, we're joined by Kate Aronoff, staff writer at The New Republic. She is the co-author of A Planet to Win, Why We Need a Green New Deal. So here's Trump trying to talk about Biden as a socialist throughout the night. And then there is Biden saying that he does not support a Green New Deal, and Wallace pressing Trump on whether humans cause climate change and whether this is a crisis. Kate, your overall response?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised to even have climate change come up last night. I wasn't supposed to, and I think it's a credit to people who rightfully raised a stink about that. And I also wasn't surprised at all about what both candidates said, right? We've known for years that Donald Trump denies the science of climate change, that he thinks it's a hoax, that he's loyal to people in the fossil fuel industry, to executives in the fossil fuel industry in particular. And we've known that Joe Biden doesn't support a Green New Deal. This isn't new news. I think that's what's also not surprising is that there's a clear choice between these two candidates, right? We can't have another Donald Trump administration and hope to tackle the climate crisis on the speed and scale that we need. And we know that Joe Biden is going to need to be pushed into tackling the climate crisis at the speed and the scale that we need. So I follow these issues. I didn't learn a whole lot last night. I was glad it came up, but I think there's a lot of work to do, regardless of who's elected in January. And I certainly hope that Joe Biden is elected in November.
And Kate Aronoff, while I agree with you that it was great for Chris Wallace to raise climate change issues in the debate. One thing that did happen as a result of that, because he questioned Donald Trump 4 or 5 times straight at one point on the climate, is that it didn't allow time for closing arguments by either candidate. This being perhaps maybe the biggest debate audience. Who knows? We haven't seen the final results yet, but the chance that both candidates, Biden and Trump, lost to be able to make a closing argument. Do you think that something was lost in that?
Well, judging by the other hour and a half of the debate, I'm not sure we would have gotten too much of that out of that either way. I mean, it was a mess. I mean, to put it really charitably, what happened last night, and so that would have been nice. But I also think it's good to talk about the greatest existential threat humanity has ever faced when you're looking at 2 potential leaders of the free world.
Kate Aronoff, 20 seconds on Biden's Green New Deal, or what he's saying is the Biden deal?
Yeah, it's the most progressive climate policy that a Democratic presidential candidate has ever run on, and it's not nearly enough. Activists push this to be the best plan that we've seen from a Democratic nominee, and we know that in January, when he is hopefully elected, that he'll need to be pushed really aggressively in order to make any of that a reality. So it's a good starting place, and it's just that.
Well, we want to thank you for being on with us, Kate Aronoff, staff writer at The New Republic. This is supposedly the first of 3 presidential debates. Next week, it's the vice presidential debate. We end today's show with Fox's Chris Wallace questioning President Trump about his tax returns.
Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million one year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes on the money a school teacher makes is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code, and he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts, and I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who in fact need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president. Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
you're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe. I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years.
Just have 20 seconds, Kate Aronoff, your final response.
Like most of the 1%, Donald Trump lives by a different set of rules. Most working people pay more taxes than Donald Trump has paid in the last 15 years. The Times reporting is very clear, and we need to get him out of office. That's it. I mean, we need a much better tax code, and we need to tax the rich much more than they are now.